Welcome in. We are trying to wrap our arms further around Operation Epic Fury, what has transpired and what is potentially going to transpire as we look at all this. I want to jump back yesterday to the 3 Strike Eagles that were shot down by friendly fire in Kuwait. Now, we did a video about it. I want to dive a little bit further, but first I want to highlight one of the things that I think one of the crew members did very well. And this is the first step of any type of scenario where you find yourself ejecting. It's the survival piece. Now, obviously, it is still just mind-boggling to have 3 modern 4th-generation fighters falling from the sky in rapid succession here. But the true miracle is the fact that out of the 6 crew members, all 6 of them walked away, because that is not normally how this story ends. Now, real quick, this is the pilot or weapon system operator. This appears to be the life raft, and then the seat kit. This is all tethered together to the crew member there. On the pilot, on the Wizzo, you're going to have a vest. It's going to have a sidearm. It's going to have extra water, radios, signaling devices, etc. Inside that seat kit's going to have more of that. So when you hit the ground running, ideally you have enough time to pick that seat kit up and beat feet and start the evasion portion of SERE, survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. That's the training that we all go through as aircrew members, where it's not a whole lot of fun, but it's critical that if the bad day happens, you have some training to lean onto. And this is important because, again, remember, this is all tethered together as we watch a video here in just a second. So imagine you're an aircrew member who's just shot out of the sky. The shock factor, I would imagine, is definitely very high. I know it would be for me, as well as the stress level here. And this is where it's good to jump to the next video, because here's one of the crew members and he is being approached. Now, first, this is that tethered line that was holding that life raft and the seat kit to the pilot or Wizzo here. Read this guy's body language. To me, it comes across as pretty hostile, and he's not super happy to make a new friend right now. He also has some object in his hand, appears to be a pipe, a stick, and it doesn't look like he's going to give this crew member a very nice welcome. But you can see, this is where I think the pilot, the Wizzo, does a great job of trying to de-escalate the situation. You got to survive first. Now, he does have a sidearm. Probably not where you want to be with a group of people surrounding you. I just thought that was just going to make everyone really mad at me, which is probably true. But he is trying to show he is not hostile and means no harm here. Getting down on his knees, right? Again, trying to de-escalate that situation so that hopefully it doesn't get any crazier. Now, what we don't know, we don't have the context here, is did someone say something that calmed everything down? Did someone show up? Did someone get a phone call? I mean, we don't know. It appears his body language and the actions he is trying to convey have tempered this down a good bit, because these individuals, you don't know, one, do they like you? Do they like your country? Do they not like your country? Do they think he's an Iranian pilot? Do they not like Americans? There's a myriad of questions that are running through my mind, and I imagine about 1,000 more questions running through this individual's mind as he is trying to calm the situation down. I can see this guy eventually just, I guess, shakes the stick and walks away. So it turns out, I think they put him in the car. He's telling him just kind of, it looks like maybe get away as he's trying to gather his things, and he's not too concerned there. So, all right, how did we get to this spot? Well, I don't know if we'll ever know that answer truly, at least out in this forum, but we did the video yesterday. We talked about the Patriot missile battery. Everyone's talked about the Patriot a good bit. Decent likelihood that that would be a culprit and could be the culprit in this case. All these nations, let's paint the picture. Last week at this time, they were saying they were not going to get involved. Operation Epic Fury kicks off, and now they are pulled into this whether they like it or not, and they are taking hits. The UAE, I think, has done the best so far, or has been the most open that I've seen, and I'm sure other countries are doing it too. Well, let's just look at the numbers, and this is as of March 1st. This is 2 days ago. They've had 541 drones, 165 ballistic missiles, and 2 cruise missiles shot at them. And obviously, we've talked about on this channel. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Some have made it through and made some pretty drastic impact. So now if we put ourselves and say, those numbers are probably on par across the Gulf states there, all taking hits, taking casualties, buildings on fire. This is very real. We have not seen an enemy that has been able to mass and respond, reach out and touch multiple nations over and over again, a very real threat. So the stress and the tension is absolutely elevated in the region. And to steal a quote from my friend who's intimately involved with this, he said, "We haven't seen anything like this probably since the Korean War, if ever. It's wild." And that seems like a very fair assessment here. Now, when we talk again about the shoot down from yesterday, These countries have an integrated air and missile defense. That's going to be ground-based assets and air-based assets. In Kuwait's case, you could expect F-18s, most likely providing defensive counter-air. They're out there protecting a point, protecting a piece of sky, protecting something on the ground. In this case, probably the country of Kuwait. From against air threats, from against kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles, able to shoot all of those down. Then on the ground, we have the Patriot missile batteries, the Hawk batteries. All of these, and across the Gulf region, most use United States military hardware. But just because they're using US hardware doesn't mean this is all interoperable, doesn't mean they all get the same information, doesn't mean these systems are all the exact same, meaning one might be more upgraded than the other. And when it comes to identifying who's good and who's bad, there is a myriad of things that go into it, from routes that are flown, from transponder codes, from encrypted data that's being transmitted, a whole host of things. Like, that's just scratching the surface. And again, not all these players have it. And if we factor in now these countries are being attacked, remember, most of these wars are being run out of buildings that are not hardened. You have people sitting at computers, radar screens. If an alarm siren goes off because the base is under attack and they have to run to a bunker, you might have a person who has critical information that is not able to convey it to warfighters, to the offensive capability or the defensive capability that prevents a missile launch, taking out a friendly jet, etc. And along those lines, I think we're soon going to see this issue pop up, which we've talked about it on the podcast before. We've talked about it in other episodes. And when we looked at the volume that the United Arab Emirates has responded to, again, remember, most of these nations are using US military hardware. US military defense contractors are doing foreign military sales. Tyler Rogway, I think, makes a great point, saying that there's a major deficiencies in the air defense capacity and stockpile of effectors. The way I translate that too is we've been shooting a lot of missiles. We've talked about it again before with AIM-120s and AIM-9s being used, especially early in Ukraine and in the Israel conflict, taking out one-way attack drones with $100,000, million-dollar missiles that we have a limited supply of. Now, that's been fixed to a certain extent with the AGR-20, the Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System, putting that on the F-15E, the F-16, believe the F-18 at this point, utilizing a low-cost, high-volume option to counter these mass drone attacks. But for quite a while, we were using AMRAAMs and AIM-9s to take this stuff out. And now we see just the volume of attack that Iran has thrown at the Gulf states. Everyone's inventories are being depleted. There are definitely smart people that are tracking this and working with it, but it is going to be a problem. I mean, it is a problem that I think we're going to see unfold, and you're going to start hearing more and more about it. Now, he makes a point too that is interesting. We can dive into it in a later video, but Iran is wounded, basically. They've been crippled. They've been under heavy sanctions. They have not been operating freely for decades. If you take this to a near-peer threat, such as China, imagine what that might be like, how this might play out. It's an interesting aspect. And again, I'd be curious to get your thoughts down below. We do have a newsletter. If you're not a subscriber, you can check that out. That's absolutely free. And we'll dive deeper into this week in this week's newsletter. But again, this is pretty wild just to see it all transpire and play out. So see you next time.